Welcome back. Now, let us recapture the misconceptions that we've also been, already been speaking about in the chapter, in the module on emotions, because what is usually understood as an emotion is not necessarily what an emotion is, nor what we understand by an emotion. So what is an emotion not? Like mixing a part of your being with your entirety. That means an emotion is part of you, it's not your entire being. And when you say, I am angry, I am very well aware that this is just a pattern of speech, but the truth is also many patterns of speech do actually contain some truth in the way we really feel that way. Like when we say we are angry, we really feel like our being right now is overlayered by angriness, kind of angriness overtaking us, and we become angry in the sense of what is our core sense of essence of what we are. And when we're angry, oftentimes this has some identity component to it. So being aware of that, mixing a part of your being with your entire being, that's not it. You witness the anger, you still remain the conscious entity within, like the consciousness, the living, breathing organism, and you are not angry. Anger is witnessed and registered in your system. And also by practicing those patterns of speech, even if they don't seem authentic in the first place, it can make sense to really also get beyond this identification. And also mixing emotions with body sensations. Emotions are not the body sensations, emotions are something different, which makes it even harder to grasp. If you say, I got the goosebumps, or, I have my heart's beating, that's not the emotion, it's an effect of the emotion, but it's not the emotion itself. Also mixing emotions with reactions and expressions. You getting angry, wanting to hit somebody, having those fantasies. You being sad, wanting to shut down and laying down on your bed and weep. And expressions of screaming, shouting, yawning, sighing, whatever that might be. This is not the emotion as well. These come after the emotion in order to kind of canalize those energies and purge yourself of those energies, kind of get rid of those energies. But this is not the emotion itself. The emotion itself actually cannot be spoken. It's something that we cannot put into words. And I want you to understand that whenever we try to put words and say, this is it, what an emotion is, we are mistaken, because the emotion can most aptly be expressed as an this. Yes, this is it. I know that. This feels like and this feels more like, whatever, you see? But the words we put to them is not it. And also mixing the emotions with action impulses, running away from the emotion, running towards it, running into it, running against it, what we've been speaking about in the chapter on emotions, big time, wanting to defy the emotion, running into the emotion, kind of dwelling on the emotion, running away, defying it, that's not it. This is not the emotion, this is your reaction to the emotion. Wanting to push it away, wanting to distract yourself, all those mechanisms that we usually employ, this is not the emotion itself. So, furthermore, the existential trap. Seeking happiness in the emotions is a big misconception, and I would like to raise your awareness towards that point. Happiness is never found in the emotions, just a cheap equivalent of that if we have never touched upon deep fulfillment. And how we touch upon deep fulfillment, there was an entire module on that where we were talking about the deeper sentiments and fulfillment. Once we've tasted that, we do not seek for happiness in emotions anymore, or at least not to this majestic degree that we used to. So, but if we've never touched upon that, this is the only thing we can get. Naturally, we seek for those because we need to fill ourselves with fulfillment. You see, when we don't feel it, we need something because that's our nature. And if we're split off from this default state that is our nature, we crave to be natural. We crave to feel fulfilled. So naturally we kind of crave those things that give us those emotions. But this is the existential trap. Seeking happiness in the emotions. Not it. Definitely not it. And this creates so much suffering in the world, it is incredible, and also for yourself. See if it applies to you. And something that I call the Vipassana trap. There is a school of meditation that basically teaches you to disidentify with the emotions. Now, whether that's totally correct, we can argue if some Vipassana person is here, but generally I just named the trap after that. So aloofness towards emotions is the trap that I mean. And there is a difference between identification and dissociation. Like disidentification and dissociation, that's what I mean. Like usually we start out from a place of identifying with our emotions. We said this before. We feel, we say we are sad, we are angry, we are jealous, we are happy, whatever we are. We are that. It has some identity component. And there is no difference between disidentification, which leads to you fully feeling the emotion. But you see, it's nothing more, kind of can be likened to like wind touching your skin. This is nothing personal. You don't take the wind personal, it's not part of your being. At first, it can be seen that we are all, I don't mean that. Like you don't usually see that the wind is part of yourself. But the emotions, we do feel like that. So this is the power of disidentification. Dissociation, on the other hand, means being split off. Like you still remaining this feeling of this is part of my identity, but you just step out of that and kind of look at that from a dissociated place, but it still stays part of your identity, and that's the trap. Dissociation from your emotions, because this is not the point. The purpose why we have feelings is to feel them. That's why they are called feelings, because life wants us to feel them. Makes sense, doesn't it? And in becoming aloof, training ourselves to be aloof, this is the misconception. Now, aloofness naturally arises with disidentification, but to train yourself for aloofness is not the right path. Training yourself to feel, go into and using what is right here in this present as an entry gate, letting yourself be pulled into the present by what is there and through it into aliveness, into the unconditioned default state of happiness and fulfillment. Another big misconception, the wanting to be aloof because we don't want to feel those emotions. You see? Also changing emotions, they don't need to be altered. I mean, emotions are only energetic patterns within ourselves. They can be altered, but they don't need to be altered. It is one way, but it requires like a true feeling for the emotion is actually not what you are. Then they can be altered, you know? But if you really believe the emotion is part of I am happy, I am jealous, this am component is still there, then you just alter yourself when you alter your emotions. And that this doesn't work, we've seen in past videos we've been talking about this. So these are misconceptions about emotions. Please take them in, please review them, and it makes sense to at least take the module number 9 and review those lessons when you need them. Like now you've gone through the entire course, I hope, at once, and I believe that's a good thing to do. And then take an only module 9 and review that regularly, and everything else just when it's needed. Because here you really get the what ifs. That's what we said before. The how-tos, you now know intuitively. You don't forget them. If it hit you emotionally, like how to re-look at your life, it is there. It comes when it's needed. But the what ifs, they will change as you go along. So yes, with this being said, see you in the next video.